Alright guys, this is Opeb. Welcome back to Home, the third part now of this spooky indie game. The door opened now that the power was back on. Slowly piecing together a lot of different things that have been going on. Planks, tools, and broken up parts blocked any further passage. A rusted old regulator of some kind sat dusty and unused against the wall. Another smudge of dirt, similar to the one I'd found in the sewers, was on the floor. A large pile of building materials and debris blocked the way. Yeah, so, from what I can tell, this is just my guess. I have no idea what's going on. Maybe I'm the killer? The power box looked like it was running again. I didn't realize I was trying to get that working, but I guess that works. A rack of flashlights hung on the wall. One of them was missing. Probably mine. The stale scent of the old factory gave way to the brisk odor of pine trees and dirt. I was back outside, though I wasn't sure if that was better or worse. The path beyond was dark, and my flashlight barely illuminated anything. I wondered if it had really been taken from the factory. If so, how did I get it? That poor guard. He's probably just doing his job. Maybe he knew what was going on in that boarded up room. If he did, he wouldn't be telling that tale to anybody. I hope the path led back into town. I need to find some help. Well, that was way back into town. It's gone. Game over. A rusty old truck had careened off the road and into the guardrail. Its front was crushed and its windows had all been smashed. Judging by the rust, it had been there for a while. Just gotta make sure there's nothing up above me. The garbage bin was a disgusting mess of rotten food in slick back black bags. I saw a thin greenish corner poking out from one of the bags. It was my driver's license. It looked damaged. Did I take it back? I cleaned the card off as best I could. It looked pretty beat up. I was amazed it found my credit card and not this. I tucked the card into my wallet next to my credit card. Sounded like it was going to start raining again. I'd entered Norman's place. This was the back of that store that he ran. It was oddly quiet except for the faint sound of a television. I just realized something. This is just my theory, I guess, but if I was the killer, me picking up all of these weapons and then walking towards town and having my identification and everything, that's probably not going to help my case. So I guess let's hope I'm not the killer, unless I was like right on the mark and spoiled the game for you. Then I'm sorry, I don't think that's what happened though. Inside the cabinet was a small but impressive collection of hunting rifles, shotguns, and even a few items I didn't think were legal here. One of the slots in the rack was empty. The gun I had found seemed to match the others there. If the handgun was Norman's, what the hell was he doing with it? The gun would fit there. Did I place it back in the cabinet? I carefully pushed the piece back in place and felt a great burden lifted. Right as I mentioned that, man, I'm a genius. What the hell? One of Rachel's old autumn coats hung on a rack. That was Norman's bedroom, wasn't it? What was this doing there? I'm just gonna walk around and pretend that didn't happen. Just kidding. The TV still flickered some indecipherable channel. Oh no, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Norman, my coworker and one of the few friends I had in this town, lay dead beside his armchair. His face and shirt were covered in blood. It looked like he'd been shot trying to get up. His eyes were wide with shock, though they were already drying. Norman, what was Rachel doing here? Why did you have her coat? Norman, maybe you deserve better. You probably did. Did I close his eyes? I closed his eyelids down, shuddering as I did so. I wasn't sure if I wanted to give him peace, or if I just couldn't stand to think any more about what was going on. I guess this was Norman's kitchen table. He kept it clean enough, but there were water rings from 2 cups still there in the wood. The kitchen trash bin smelled fresh. I didn't dig through that mess, did I? I found a hairpin amongst the rotting food and trash and pocketed it. What a weird guy. I mean, he should have just taken the entire trash can at that rate. What was this? It looked like a pole chain hanging from the ceiling. I wonder where it led. Did I pull the chain? I gave the chain a single tug, and a simple folding ladder to the attic popped down. There was a large cardboard box that hadn't been sealed. Did I open it? I opened up the old cardboard box, and wasn't entirely surprised by what I saw. There were more of Rachel's things, more of my wife's clothes. Photos, shoes, even that old radio I gave her. Why, Rachel? What were you doing here with Norman? I used the hairpin to pick the lock. The hairpin snapped in half, so I threw it away. I guess he just trusted his intuition. The general store was small, but it was clean. It had the usual things: postcards, snacks, magazines, and canned goods. I never went there much. Rachel usually stopped by after work if we needed anything. Uh-oh. Rachel, why? The register was mostly empty, and a fat stack of travel magazines sat beside it. The icebox seemed to be unplugged. It must have been off for a while. Most of its contents were half melted. There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist traps. One of the postcards showed an old black and white photo of the water tower. It looked to be in much better shape then. It had been weeks since I'd last seen Norman, and finding him that way still left me cold. Thinking of him slumped against the chair only cemented my reassurance in getting rid of the gun. It looked like someone had taken that piece from his store, but why was it in those tunnels? As I stepped outside, I recalled the dusty old box of clothes in Norman's attic. I felt like I had only discovered more questions, no answers, but I was close to home. It was time to find out the truth. It was locked. This wasn't the right gate. The gate was locked tight. This was not my house. That door only led me back. I had to find my house. The gate was locked tight. This wasn't my house. The neighborhood's local post box. A letter was sticking out as if someone hadn't pushed it all the way in. I knew it wasn't right, but did I look at the letter? The envelope was addressed to Norman. There was no return address, but the handwriting looked familiar. I took a deep breath and tore open the package. Norman, I'm sending this to you in a letter because I'm afraid to tell you this in person. What we did, well, it was wrong. My husband isn't an easy man to be with, but he is my husband and your friend. I need some time to sort this out, away from you both. I'm going away for a while. I'm going to tell him, Norman, so don't think you can hold that against me. Maybe we'll work it out. I'm not sure I even want to, but he deserves at least that much. Goodbye. Rachel, wow. I had the wrong gate. This one was locked. I had entered our backyard. The rain gave me a terrible sense of foreboding, and it chilled me through my clothes. I was expectant, but also afraid. I held my breath as I approached our back door. I was terrified to step inside. Honey, I'm home. Oh no. The house is painfully quiet. The only sound is my own breathing, ragged and strained. Oh yeah, I'm pretty ragged and strained right now. I flicked the light switch by the door. The power was off. I should have drank some water before this. Going for an hour, talking all dark and edgy. It's not good. I remembered having breakfast here on this very table. Was that yesterday or sometime before? The front door was locked from inside. I couldn't go out though. I needed to see if Rachel was here. There was a small pile of mail on the floor in front of the mail slot. How long had I been away? Why hadn't Rachel picked this up? Most of the contents were bills. There was a credit card bill there. Did I open it? I ripped the bill open and read it. To my surprise, it said something about canceling my credit card due to non-payment. What the hell? The door to the basement. It was locked. Where did I put that damn key? Our television. I purchased it before I knew I was going to lose my job. I felt pretty guilty about it afterward, but by then it was too late. Yeah, he also has a PS2. So I guess this is still sort of VHS time. I found the last missing piece from my wallet. The old photo of Rachel and I stared back at me, reminding me of better times. It didn't make me feel terribly comfortable. Did I keep it anyway? I replaced the photo in my wallet, feeling like I got part of my life back. Still, the image made me uneasy. Why did I throw it away? The door was stuck shut. There was an old-fashioned keyhole underneath the handle. Guess I need an old-fashioned key then. Our hallway mirror had been smashed, its pieces scattered all over the floor. My laptop had been left on, and only had a tiny bit of power left. On the screen was a website about the old water tower. There was a key in the top drawer of my desk. Did I take it? I pocketed the key. We were lucky enough to get a house with one of those wonderful old claw-footed bathtubs. Our sink, which needed to be replaced. One of the taps always stuck, but I hadn't gotten around to fixing it yet. Wait, no. Did I just miss something? Oh, I thought I saw, like, a flicker. The books there were half mine, half Rachel's. Hey, now that I look more closely, it looked like the man in that house had some of the same books as I did. My wife's, Rachel's suitcase was sitting on the bed. It was closed, but I had a feeling what was in it. Did I open it? Rachel's suitcase contained clothes, toiletries, and a train ticket. Is this what you were going to do with Norman? The door was stuck shut. Old-fashioned keyhole. Still not working. So I guess it was that door downstairs. I unlocked the basement door. There were old Christmas decorations in the box. There were old clothes, tools, and other things we obviously hadn't thrown out yet. The garbage bags were stuffed with old paint cans and supplies. There's a dirty old key here. Did I take it? I took the small key and tried to remember what it unlocked. Upstairs. I had put up this divider wall last summer so we could create a separate room in the basement. I hadn't finished it yet, so the door was stuck and the drywall was poorly installed. I might have been able to break through if I found something heavy enough. The grimy key I found in the basement unlocked the door. It looked like the room had been tossed around. The furniture was a mess. Did somebody break in here? There was an old crowbar on the floor. Did I need to take that crowbar? I lifted the heavy crowbar. I appreciated its weight and became Gordon Freeman. Gordon? All this back and forth is just making me even more spooked. It's pretty spooky. Did I break through the wall with the crowbar? With a heave, I swung the crowbar at the wall. I smashed a hole large enough to step through. As I stepped through the broken wall, my breath caught in my throat. This was it. Was Rachel down there? Was she okay? Don't look. Don't look. A filthy-looking pile of rags had been dumped in the corner. The stench of them was awful and made my eyes water. I was terrified to even touch the pile to see what lay within, but I knew I had to. I had come this far. After all this searching, after all I had seen, when I looked within the rags, did I finally find my Rachel? Oh no. My hands trembled as I pulled back in the layers of cloth. There at the center, under all that dirt and mess, was my beloved, my Rachel. Her arms were bruised all over and slashed repeatedly. Her clothes were ripped and torn, and even through all that sickening blood, it was obvious she'd been stabbed to death. The knife I had carried all this way suddenly seemed like a poison. What had happened, Rachel? Who did this to you? Thought about all I had seen, and wondered if any of it could help me figure out who had done this. And when I couldn't stay there any longer, I stepped away on shaky legs and made my way back upstairs. Reluctantly, exhausted from my journey, I could no longer resist the urge to close my eyes. Maybe I would use some of Rachel's travel books and find some place to go. It was my wallet with its contents intact. Either I dropped that stuff or somebody else did. Maybe I was sleepwalking again, or maybe somebody stole it from me. Norman's store, that forest, the water tower. Was I at those places before? I didn't see how it could have happened any other way. I must have been the one to lose my wallet and its contents. But what does that mean? This is the old photo of that other man and his wife, I assumed. I found it in that house. There were a lot of disturbing things in those tunnels underneath that house. Maybe that man wasn't quite what he seemed. Well, what did I think? Was that man involved in this whole mess somehow? I wasn't sure, but the poor old bastard was good and dead. He was a victim, not a criminal. How did he end up dead? He was already gone when I woke up. It was the key card I found at the bottom of that factory locker. I never did bother to use it. Someone had been going through those lockers and poking around the plant. Still, it didn't quite add up. Was I the one who had been going back to the factory? It looked that way, didn't it? That locker room. I had given up drinking, but the laptop had finally run out of power. The reflection in that grimy glass was only a shadow, a whisper. I still love the old-time charm of that claw-footed bathtub, though it seemed like cold comfort then. Bathtub enthusiast. Within the few broken pieces that remained of that mirror, I could see my face had grown pale and weak. I couldn't bear to look again. It was like I didn't actually expect a reflection. I felt empty and drained. My old office safe sat on the floor. I used to keep tax records and other important documents in it. It used a digital passcode lock, but I didn't have the code. Maybe I left it somewhere. I leafed through the notebook I had taken from the forest. In it were the names that had been written down. Heather, Olivia, Ashley, Cheryl, Iris, Daphne, Holly, Rose, and Rachel. I recalled the names I saw scratched out on that old desk, deep within the musty tunnels. Was the man in that house really up to something? It was the letter I had taken from the postbox. Rachel, were you really having an affair with Norman? But why? I didn't think things were that bad. In the letter, Rachel seemed concerned. She almost seemed worried of what Norman might do. Did he do that to Rachel? I don't know. I was sure of it. She wanted to end their affair with that bastard. He killed her for it. A lot of it made sense. Norman was clearly seeing Rachel a lot, so he had plenty of time to plan it out. He knew where we lived, obviously. Is that why Rachel looked so scared when I came home that day? What had happened to me? Did Norman knock me out or something? From now on, I had no one to get angry with me for stupid things like buying this TV. It's a dark thing to say, bud. Maybe I shouldn't have said Norman did it. It seemed like I had seen all there was. Maybe I thought I was ready to go back into the basement. Maybe there wouldn't be anything for me to find, but I had to take one last look. If I was guilty, I could take this to a warm, safe place and do something about it. Did I pick up the knife? No. There were other means of dealing with this. Now that I stood there, I realized I couldn't go back into that room again. I had already seen too much. I took the knife and kept it firmly in my hand. The mail still sat there, heaped on the floor. How long had Rachel been lying in that basement? I knew I needed to escape that nightmare, but what about the knife I still carried? I wondered, even if I left, would it really be over? So did I leave that house forever? I peered at the knife as I turned away. A warm place, I had thought. Where could that be? There would be no more dinners here. No more chit-chat over breakfast. At least not for us. I must have locked the door. There was no reason to return to the backyard anyway. Warm place. I guess that doesn't count. Laptop was dead, but I found some notes and loose paper in the drawer where I had found the key. There was a yellow sticky note with an 8-digit code on it. 4R3UHER3. Did I take it? The code looked like it might be for the safe, but what kind of phrase was that? The code I found should have let me access the safe. Did I try to open it? The code worked. I pulled open the small safe door and peered inside. There was a photo in there of Rachel and I when we first moved to town. In it, we were smiling outside the front of the house, which looked like a real mess. We looked happy, though. Odd, I couldn't remember who took that photo. Inside the safe was also an envelope. The front of it read, "Do not open until I tell you." I guess this was as good a time as any to see what was inside. Did I open the envelope and read what was inside? I tore open the envelope and removed the yellow lined paper inside. On it was a letter, written in a hand that looked familiar. The letter read, "I know this whole event has probably been pretty difficult. You can't imagine how hard it's been for me too. Well, maybe you can. That isn't meant to be an excuse, but, well, I hope you can better understand why I've done what I've done. Moving to this town seemed like such a dream, a quiet place to get established, live out our lives, and be together. But you know as well as I do that things can quickly change. Your drinking was one thing, but as you grew more distant, as you retreated in that world of yours, well, it was clear you didn't need me as much. In fact, maybe you never needed me at all. But it took all this to make you realize. In the end, though, you may never forgive me for this. You may never forgive yourself, but this is probably for the best. You'll be healthier for this. I'm just sorry it had to happen this way. Rachel." I still can't find that warm place. What was he talking about? I needed to put an end to this situation one way or another. Lock the door. I knew I needed to escape that nightmare, but what about the knife I still carried? I wondered, even if I left, would it really be over? So did I leave that house forever? Living in this town hadn't been easy. The plan had helped in some way to stay grounded. It kept me in line, gave me something to do, and helped me get away from my past. When the factory closed, everything changed. I guess that was when I had started sleepwalking, disappearing for hours at a time. I had MRIs and piles of doctor's reports, but nothing seemed to help, not even drinking. But I swear I'd tried to give it up. I know it. The sleepwalking never really went away, though. But I know Rachel had tried. I know she'd tried to be there for me, even when everything was falling apart. This night had unearthed terrible truths, but I knew it was the final act of a long-standing horror I'd been living. Waking up in that house tonight was the final cruelty. I wish I had remained unconscious in that room forever. I wasn't sure what had happened to that other man I found in that house. He seemed to be more of a victim, but what was his role in all this? After making it out of those tunnels, I thought those sewers might feel safer. I was wrong. The security tape I had watched showed someone being attacked by what looked like two people. But who was it that was attacked? I had found the contents of my wallet scattered throughout town. Why the hell had I been out there? Had my sleepwalking gone to some new extreme? I thought that I couldn't account for my whereabouts, but knew I had been in that forest and even Norman's place. Well, it was terrifying. I didn't know what that meant, but at least I had recovered my things. Hopefully I thought that would cover my tracks so I wouldn't be blamed for all this. Deep within those woods, though, was where things became truly awful. Finding that notebook only made things worse. Rachel's name had been on that list, so what terrible plot was she a part of? There was a similar list of names on that desk back in those tunnels. What was the connection? It was clear at least that I had been the one going back to that factory. I must have been sleepwalking or something, but what the hell was I doing there? I had given up drinking, hadn't I? So what was going on in that boarded up room? Suddenly, my stomach started to turn. Was I responsible for that dead guard? After the factory, I thought I might find some solace if I could just get to Norman's store, but all I had found there were more horrors and more questions. Now that I really consider it, that's when I should have seen it coming. Norman, you were dead, and it was damn hard to feel bad about that. It was clear you and Rachel were more than just friends, but obviously whatever had been going on had gone badly. So why did you kill her? Did she want out of whatever you two were getting into? Were you responsible for the other murders, and of those other horrible things that had gone in that town? I would find no peace, that much was certain, but this way I didn't have to look you in the eye, or sit through some kind of trial and wonder what was going on through your head. When I marched through the rain towards home, I desperately clung to the hope that this would end, and I guess in a way it did, but how could I have known how hopeless it all was? I started to feel disoriented when I sleepwalked. To think of it now. When I entered from the backyard, I knew something was wrong, I could feel it. No sounds, no movement. It was like the entire house had been holding its breath, waiting just for me. But Rachel, oh Rachel. No one could have been prepared for that. Norman, I'll never forgive you for what you've done. Your death is no comfort. I only wish it could have been me who made you breathe your last. For whatever reasons you had, I could never have fathomed that this would be the end. My Rachel was dead. She was gone. And soon, too, I would be. As I swung open the door and stepped out into the air, I caught the scent of wet grass and fog. Rachel, my beautiful wife. Just the thought of her again, cold and inert, shook me from head to toe. What would I do now? Who could I turn to? It would only be a matter of time before the police got involved, before the neighbors knew. The front lawn was soft and giving beneath my feet. I couldn't shake the urge that I shouldn't stand there, but rather that I should run. Well, that was home. I gotta say, I wouldn't say that was spooky, but I would say that was a good mystery. Uh, I guess I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you in another video. Bye. I guess. Watch your back. I'm an alcoholic killer killed my wife and Norman killed my wife in the boxes, and the murderer and that guy